Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Construction Show. I'm your host, Jerrod Downey. You've probably seen us doing episodes from we were filming at Con Expo, and we're going to continue to expand on these episodes. We're going to feature Doran Manufacturing today, and Lee Demis is going to be on the show. He's the Vice President of Business Development at Doran, and they're actually doing a multi-episode. So over the next few months, you'll see them multiple times on the show discussing different angles of the company. Lee, welcome to the show. Great to have you on.
Thanks, Jerrod. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I guess we've met on we've done some video conferencing before this, but this is our first time to really dig into the company. Of course, we're having to do it with a camera stuck in your face, so appreciate it. Hope it goes well.
Thank you. Thank you. Somewhat of a rookie to having the camera in my face, so apologies if I slip up along the way.
Well, to be honest, I'm still not 100% comfortable with it, so I have to give myself a little psych up every time still. So, but it does get a little easier after you do about like 200 or 300.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Um, Lee, let's start with who Doran is. I mean, they've been around a long time. And so can you just give us that bird's eye view? And then, of course, we got lots to cover.
Sure. So, little history on Doran. We just celebrated our 70th year in business, located in Cincinnati, Ohio, in the U.S. And our company's evolved over those 70 years. If you go back to our founding, 1953, two engineers named the company after their wives, Dorothy and Ann. And at that time, we made little electrical interconnection components that would go into electric motors. That business evolved over time into customized fuse panels for a variety of equipment, from golf carts to RVs to commercial Class 8 trucks. Over time, that business evolved into school bus safety products that we continue to bring to market and innovate today. We offer a sleeping child check monitor to prevent kids from getting left on school buses at the end of the day, as well as light monitors so that the bus driver knows that all of the warning lights on the bus are working properly. From the maintenance side of things, now a maintenance technician can sit in the driver's seat and know that all the warning lights are working properly without having to have a second technician standing and walking around the bus, giving somebody a wave that everything's working properly. And then in the early 2000s, we ventured down the path of tire monitoring, and that is our primary business today in a variety of sectors. Class 8 on highway tractor trailer fleets, off-road, mining, earth mover, construction, steel mills, port handling equipment. And then we also get into the agricultural space with tire monitoring as well. So really any application outside of passenger vehicles, we're monitoring pressure and temperature information on those assets all over the world.
Why, when you made that pivot, what was the motivation behind it?
Sure. So early 2000s, there were some tires losing tread on the highways. SUVs were rolling over on the highways. And Congress in the U.S. passed the TREAD Act, which mandated that all 2008 model year and newer passenger vehicles had to have some type of tire monitoring system installed at the OEM level. Our owners of Doran at the time were keeping tabs on these developments and saw a need for TPMS in more of a commercial heavy-duty type application. Did not want to venture down the path of consumer and passenger vehicles. So we started out down the path, again, in that heavy duty space, more of a dealer distributor of a number of different manufacturers' products. And at the time, they just didn't have the right fit and feel and functions that they wanted for these types of applications. So in 2008, Doran brought to market our own proprietary series of TPMS, which we call the 360. And here we are 15 plus years later, again, distributing and bringing innovative products to market on a global scale.
Were you with the company at that time?
So I joined the company of March of 2008, just as we were bringing this 360
Wow.
series to market. Yep.
Let's talk about our heavy industry tour brought to you by Savannah Equipment, supplying mining equipment worldwide. We are heading to events across North America, Africa, and Australia and filming episodes on location. Email us at info@crownsman.com to be part of our Crownsman's Heavy Industry World Tour. With Fender Dunlop, you know you are getting the best conveyor belting in the market. That's because they ensure the integrity of their conveyor belting by monitoring each step of the manufacturing process in their North American facilities. Focused attention is given to each belting order to guarantee that they produce a belt that will assist the customer in reducing operation costs, maximizing uptime, and improving revenue. Visit FenderDunlopAmericas.com to learn more. When you see the orange iron of a Ditch Witch machine out in the field, you can be sure of one thing: a job is getting done. As the leading manufacturer of underground construction equipment, Ditch Witch has been a catalyst of innovation for the industry since the day they were founded. And with a worldwide and world class dealership network that features over 175 dealerships across the globe, this equipment is backed by the best. Learn more at ditchwitch.com. DMH manufactures CNC lathes for seal production, semi-finished materials for seal manufacturing, as well as machine seals. But they are much more than a seal manufacturer. They supply the technology for seal manufacturing in the form of machine seal software and tooling technology. Altogether, this allows the simple manufacturing of nearly every seal within the shortest amount of time. The products are also used in a wide range of industries such as mobile hydraulics, mining industry, heavy industry machinery, oil and gas, wind energy, renewable energy, aviation, food and pharmaceutical industry, transportation, and automotive industry. To learn more, you can visit them at dmh.at. Seal technologies of the future, already today.
That must have it's always an interesting time. When you were saying about that, I'm certainly not getting political. We don't on the show, but I remember a president saying about a way people could save money is putting more pressure in their tire. Some people were mad at them, mad at him, and I was like, well, it's actually really true.
It, it, it really
It's
is.
true.
The simplest, especially in our cars, the most effective way to maximize fuel economy and so forth.
Hmm.
You know, make sure your tires are inflated properly. It's going to improve the safety and handling of the equipment of your cars. Um, the rapid acceleration, the harsh braking, and so
Hmm.
forth. That's also going to play a part in fuel economy. But something that we can control every day is just put air in your tires. Make
Yeah.
sure they're inflated to the right specs.
With that transition though, as a company, I'm quite fascinated by that because you're quite, from my understanding of it, you're quite strong in the space now. And but that's quite a there is a pivot there. You got to market that. You got to get that out. You've got to obviously have the hardware and the software, and away you go. What were those first few years like? Pushing into that market.
Sure. So the first few years, it's kind of a two-pronged approach. One, we needed to build awareness throughout the different markets that we served of what TPMS, tire pressure monitoring systems, actually were. Again, building awareness throughout the customer base that we were going after. Um, what is it? What does it do? And what are the benefits?
Mm,
How can it help the end user fleets? The individual customers that we were targeting. So the first part was that education, that building of the awareness. The second part was making sure we had the right hardware to
mm.
fit all these different applications. And
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 so many
that has been
applications,
oh
like
gosh,
so
so
many.
many.
Yeah.
When you look at the individual segments of the markets that Doran serves, from the on-highway commercial truck and trailer fleet. When we first came to market, we had a great system that would work for a truck and or a truck and married trailer.
Mm.
And the first thing that fleet said to us was, well, that's great, but one truck is never married to the same trailer in our fleet.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, part of how Doran has been successful has been to be innovative and bring new products to market, really by listening to what our customers are saying back to us and trying to solve their problems as if they're our own. So soon after the launch of that married truck and trailer system, we launched the SmartLink technology, which
Hmm.
allows one truck to connect to any trailer in the fleet at any time without any driver interaction. There's no button pushing or anything. There's all logic and wireless technology built in to allow that drop and hook functionality.
So
From
this is
there,
within a fleet. So this is within someone's entire fleet. They've got this all interconnected then.
correct.
Yeah.
Then if you look at the off-road space, again, mining, earth mover, construction equipment, and we had and we continue to have a great aftermarket installed system where the owner of a rock quarry can install 3 or 4 wheel loaders and 1 or 2 haul trucks in a matter of hours and have real-time tire pressure and temperature information right there in the cabin for the operator to help protect the tremendous investment that they're making in their rubber tires and improve the uptime of their equipment. From there, they say, okay, well, what else can we do with this? I'd love to sit in my office or sit in my recliner at home and pull up a mobile app on my phone to see all of this type of data and more of a fleet management system. And whether it's the Doran Connect platform or integrating our data with another third-party provider to get that data off of the machine, there's been this continual evolution of the Doran technology over the course of this 15 plus years that we've been involved.
Dayquip specializes in the design and manufacturing of attachments for all makes and models of compact excavators, wheel loaders, crawl dozers, and articulated dump trucks. You can choose from any of their engineered attachments, or they can design and build to your specifications. All of their products can be shipped anywhere in North America, hassle-free. If you don't see it, just ask and they will build it. Check out their website, www.dayquip.com, or email them info@dayquip.com for sales, quotes, and support. Based in Southern California, Enhanced Scanning has performed thousands of projects on construction sites across the U.S. in an effort to help its customers find the unfindable. Enhanced Scanning combines ground-penetrating radar, laser scanning, and drone inspection services to provide comprehensive deliverables for their customers' fast-paced timelines, all without sacrificing quality or communication. To learn more, you can visit them at enhancedscanning.com or find them on LinkedIn at Enhanced Scanning. Zero Knox is leading the electrification of off-highway commercial and industrial vehicles. They provide a platform for clean energy technology to get to market through powertrain solutions, development partnerships, and electrification kit solutions for conversions. Reduce carbon emissions without diminishing vehicle performance or being restricted by high costs. Partner with Zero Knox, like many of the world's leading OEMs, as they solve challenges across multiple continents with their cleaner and higher performing technology. Zero Knox solutions are designed and engineered in America with offices in Porterville, California. Learn more at zeronox.com.
I want to get into some of the actual, like just visualize the hardware and bring it up in the screen, because I think it's always important for people to actually see what we're talking about. But I saw on your website, it was like kind of like a testimonial, and it was someone with they had like a nationwide hauling fleet, and they said, I just pulled it on right before the interview, so I don't have it memorized, but he said, we found when we first started installing Doran TPMS, we found roughly 20% of our tires were underinflated. That's a pretty wild stat, given the amount of, again, like we've done lots of tire episodes on Crownsman on different series, especially like mining and that. That's a huge number.
It is, and it's legitimate. When we go to installations, whether it's at a quarry construction company, whether it's an on highway truck and trailer fleet, whether it's a ready mix concrete fleet, we go through the installation process, which is relatively easy in the larger scheme of things. We provision the system for that specific piece of equipment and the type of tires that they're using. We install the sensors. By the time we get back up in the cabin and look at the in-cab user interface, it is completely common to see at least one underinflated tire on that asset. So that commentary of 20% of the fleet was underinflated, we see that every day. And that's really where the benefit of Doran starts to come into play.
Yeah.
Catching those assets with underinflated tires when they're there at your shop, at your terminal, at your facility, before they get out on the road
Yeah.
or down into the pit or to the job site, you're not going to be able to inflate the tire now. Okay. And let alone all the damage that's occurred to that tire in transit. So we want to catch those underinflated tires when they're there at the facility, when they're there at the maintenance shop, to be able to properly inflate them, again, to improve the equipment uptime, to protect the investment in those tires.
So looking at it now, like I see this, it's a 360 HD TPMS, and then you have a 360 SL, SmartLink, TPMS, 360 TR. Then there's a 360 AG. I'm assuming that's like this multi-tired system sort of thing. And we can bring each of those up. So is the HD, is that in the cab? Is that what the driver is seeing?
Well, each of those product platforms has the option of having a Doran in-cab user interface
Okay.
or a black box version of a receiver, which will patch the data into either the equipment's electrical network or directly to a third-party provider's screen.
Mm,
The 360 HD is designed for truck applications, whether it's an on-highway Class 8 truck, ready-mix concrete, a married tractor trailer, could be a waste, refuse, recycling truck, a dump truck, and any of those on-highway type applications. 360 SL or SmartLink builds off of the 360 HD platform, but that allows for truck and trailer drop and hook fleets where one truck could connect to any trailer in the fleet at
that's
any
that
given
system.
time.
Okay.
Allows for that wireless connection and dropping of trucks and trailers. 360 OTR is the off-road mining, earth mover construction system. And then the 360 AG or 360 AG is our newest product that we brought to market specifically for the agriculture market, for tractors, combines, tillage equipment, grain carts, manure spreaders, that sort of those sorts of that sort of equipment and those types of applications where it requires a sensor that is much more accurate because those tires operate at much lower PSI than what you would find in the other heavy duty applications that we serve.
Going into, I wanted to ask about yard check. What is that? Is that all? I'm assuming it's yard check 360. So that I'm assuming is now tied in, built off everything else, right? It's all layered onto each other.
So yard check can work in many of the segments that I mentioned previously, where yard check really came to fruition. Customers came to us with a problem that they didn't necessarily need to monitor their assets all the time when they were on the road away from the facility, but they knew that they were always coming back to the same point multiple times a day or at least once a day, or they were always operating within a bubble, if you will. So what we do with yard check utilizes a technology called LoRa, which is a radio technology that creates a broad coverage area. In our application, anywhere from a half mile to a mile and a half in all directions. So assets operating within that bubble will send an update of TPMS data, both pressure and temperature for each tire on the machine or on the asset, every 15 minutes to the cloud. When those assets leave that bubble, the information is stored locally on the asset, and when it re-enters that coverage area, all the historical data is uploaded to the cloud. So different types of applications where yard check is being used today. Waste and refuse fleets. Okay? All of their trucks are staged in the morning. Could be hundreds of assets at a maintenance facility. Those trucks leave the facility. They go out on their daily route. They go to a landfill. There could be a yard check gate reader at the landfill. So now an update of information happens when the trucks roll into the landfill.
Oh, I see. So this isn't just out at a specific site. This could be if they're going to consistently, then that will connect to the entire system then.
Correct. Yep.
Oh,
And
okay.
then when those trucks return back to home base at the end of the shift, all the information that was stored in between its last check-in and now uploads to the cloud. In a shipping port application or a rail yard, you have all of the container handling equipment running around in this dedicated area. Okay, that they're not leaving, they're not going out on the highway, they're always operating within this space. Well, yard check gate reader can cover that entire port, that entire rail yard. So all of these assets operating in that bubble will send an update every 15 minutes to the cloud. Well, now a maintenance manager at that facility can either get periodic reports to automatically run. They can have email or text message alert notifications to get information on, hey, this asset right front tire is now down to 65 psi. They can flag that machine, safely pull it out of its daily routine to go inspect that tire in more detail.
I'm curious, going back to 2000. You said the company in 2008, right? That was when this pivot or expansion into this sector happened, or into this stream happened. Um,
Yeah.
so when did Yard Check come in? When did that become part of it?
I'll probably get some of the dates wrong.
Within
So
2 or 3 years is okay.
Yard Check was an evolution. We first looked at Wi-Fi, and then eventually moved towards the LoRa technology. So I'm going to say it was maybe 2018 timeframe
Mm.
on Yard Check.
Oh, so not so fair. Well, I guess that's wow. Time flies. I guess that's 5, 6 years now.
There was about a year and a half to 2 years that everyone blocks off.
Right. Oh yeah, that thing.
Yard Check came about right before that, and has been in operation since that time.
I see. Did so why I'm curious why Wi-Fi was your first, and then you changed to this system. Was it just more stable? What was the reason? Or like for remote areas, those types of things?
Couple different reasons. The technology that we're utilizing for Yard Check allows, I won't say infinite, but it allows many assets to connect at one time.
Mm,
One of the challenges with Wi-Fi was allowing
bandwidth.
multiple assets to connect.
Yeah.
You know, if you have kids playing Xbox and on their iPads and trying to watch a movie on TV, now your Wi-Fi network's bogged down.
Right.
So it when it worked well. It just didn't work well consistently enough for us. So we pivoted over to the LoRa technology for Yard Check.
So when you're doing this now, if like I'm looking here at some of these graphics, so you said this could plug into third-party systems because, and I'm thinking, I'll use the mining side as an example. There's so much monitoring in mining. It's just the information pouring in, the data pouring in is just staggering. So we have these massive companies come on and they talk about how they're sorting through all this data. So you would become part of that stream in these major fleets on construction sites and that. So integrating it in, is that pretty simple?
It can be. So Doran does this a number of different ways. We can work with the OEM of the equipment to have our data tied directly into their J1939 CAN bus. So we're feeding the data onto the electrical network of the machine. That data is then visible to the operator on either the in-cab instrument cluster or another screen that's compiling all types of graphics and information. We can also work with a third-party provider of that
Mm.
information, fleet management systems and so forth. They can either pull that data from the machine, or we can connect directly to their device to feed that data flow to them. We can also utilize the Doran Connect platform and then write a custom API to
Mm.
get that data from our cloud over to whatever fleet management system they're utilizing, so that the customer, the end fleet, doesn't have to log into multiple different portals to see this information. So much of what we do, the platform on the product side is there,
Mm.
but the customization comes in at the end as to how that customer wants to see the data, how they want to receive the data, who wants to receive the data, and so forth.
And how involved is your team in that stage? Is that data collection company? Are they the ones that is it fairly straightforward for them to do that process, or do they need support from your end as well?
So it is extremely straightforward and how they can receive that data. And then the Doran team will help guide the process, help map the data to them, walk them through the data protocol and how to decipher all the information that's coming through.
And it's an important thing to ask because from doing so many data episodes, I know that it's like people need to know, okay, can this integrate into, is this another thing that I have to manage, or can this integrate into my system? So, I want to talk about your business model for a bit. So How are your products getting out into market? Are you doing it through dealerships, the OEMs? Who's your client, and then who are their clients?
Sure. So it varies by market segment, kind of where we're successful today. But the overarching theme is we're flexible in how we go to market.
Okay.
We can work directly with the end customer, the end fleet. We can work with a local dealer, distributor, technology provider, tire service provider, third-party maintenance provider. We also work through the supply chain to the OEM level. So if you look at the off-road space, a small amount of our business is working directly with the end customer sites. A larger chunk is working through some type of service provider, typically a tire service provider who's there on site either 24 hours a day, or they're contracted to come in and do the tire maintenance, do the fleet inspections, and so forth. But then we've also been successful moving into the OE level. Doran is the OEM provider for Volvo construction equipment for their wheel loaders, articulated and rigid frame haulers. We also work with Lee Bear on a few different product platforms there, as well as Epiroc on the underground mining side of things. On the heavier duty equipment side of things, we're an OE provider for Terex Advanced Mixer. Much of that was driven by our success working with the local fleets, working there at the end user level. As far as the supply chain, if you will, or how we get to market from the direct end user, someone in the middle, or the OEM.
How do you manage that? That's quite a bit. That's a lot of moving parts. It really is. What is sort of the business development approach to make sure that you can provide service in all those buckets?
Sure. We have an incredible team here at Doran. So without the team that we have in place and the roles that we're looking to fill from new team members that we're hoping to bring on board very soon here, it all starts with the people. As we look to, okay, who are we targeting in our own outbound efforts? We have certain criteria that the sales team follows in the different market segments in the U.S., throughout North and South America, and around the world, leveraging some different relationships with partners, with dealers and distributors. But again, it really comes back to the people and the knowledge base that we have here, and just that drive to succeed and to continue to get out in front of customers, get out in front of potential customers. And then when problems arise, don't hide from them, take care of it, and really try and service the customer at the highest level that we can.
It's funny that you say that, because it seems to me that almost every good company that we've worked with, I mean, there's lots of good companies that we've worked with, but companies that seem to have that extra layer to them, they always seem willing to face problems. They don't pretend that there's not problems. And then the clients, of course, I'm not going to call anybody out, but over the years, I meet a lot of people, and there's the companies that want it. It's like everything goes perfectly, and as soon as they say that, you go, really? I've never even seen that in anything I've done, and so. There's something else about your company, and maybe we can just talk about this for a little bit, is that when I first met Jim, and then meeting with you, planning it with your team, there was lots of questions. Every company seems to have there's sort of a culture. Your company, there seems to be this real, like, here's some questions we have, here's another set, and it speaks to sort of that approach that you're taking. And I'm just curious, is that something you notice as part of that culture? Sort of that, not sort of talking in statements, but talking in questions. And it was really interesting dealing with your team in that way.
Absolutely. We are consultative salespeople. I can spew out all this information about Doran and about our products, but if I don't have any information from you as the end customer, for however long you allow me to go on and on and on, if I don't get any information, how do I know that I'm answering any question that you had
Yeah.
or any of the issues that are occurring that even led us to have this initial dialogue. So we ask more and more and more questions all the time. It helps us to narrow down what Doran solutions could be, potentials for that partner.
Yeah.
Um, so that it's the right product for the right application that solves whatever the pain point is for that customer that they're experiencing. And we're very open to say, you know what, we maybe have something, we're willing to test it. If it works, great. If it doesn't, we'll bring it back. And we're also open to saying, you know what, we don't have the right fit for you right now.
What would be an example
Not
of
to say
that?
that we won't in the
Oh,
future,
yeah.
but right now we just don't have the right product for you.
I'm curious if you could, what would be an example of that? What would be an example of something that just wouldn't be the right fit? Whatever that their setup is, just doesn't quite line up with your offerings.
Sure. So recently there was a application that for much smaller equipment than what we typically work with.
Mm,
They had a request for a type of sensor that Doran does not have off the shelf today, with a receiving module that's not available at this time. We said, look, is this in the scope of what we can do? Yes. Can I get it to you in the next 30 to 60 days? Probably not. We're looking at, based on our you know, the projects that we have in motion right now and the resources available to us, we're probably looking at a 6-month time frame on when if we all agree to start this project today, we're looking at 6 months before we would have initial samples to you. And sometimes customers are willing to work through that with us.
right.
Other times they have a more immediate need where, guys, I'm sorry, we just don't have the right thing for you right
And that's an important thing as a business too, because you don't want to tie up their time, your time. So if you have that answer quickly, now everybody can make a decision on what they want to do. That
now. It is. And
simple.
we want to be honest with people. We want to be transparent. Again, we've been in business for 70 years. It's the people that really make this happen for us. So if I were to come back to you and say, oh, we can have that in 6 weeks, and 6 weeks comes, oh, it's going to be another 6 weeks. Oh, it's going to be another 6 weeks.
We're just dealing that with a treadmill we ordered. It's horrible.
It is.
Especially
It's
when
a
it's your
terrible
wife's
experience.
treadmill.
It's a terrible experience to
Yeah.
go through for anyone. So
Yeah.
we try and be honest and upfront in how we work with people.
I also want to just there's a couple things I want to touch on before we wrap up. And one of them is just your global reach. Quite honestly, when I first talked to you, I didn't realize. And then was looking at this outline. I saw South Africa, Australia, India, Europe, Mexico. I think I was limiting the scope of of Duran a little bit. So please just give me an outline of just the global reach and how is that all done through partnerships?
So it all originates here at Duran's corporate headquarters in Cincinnati, Ohio. There are some customers we work with at a global scale that we manage the entire process.
Mm,
There are others that we rely on a distributor partnership with. Many of them have been longtime partners at Doran, some that joined relatively recently. You mentioned South Africa. There are Doran tire monitoring systems installed at the Kulinan diamond mine, where the crown jewels were found many years ago. There are systems installed on oil rigs in the far northern reaches of Canada and Alaska, all throughout Europe, obviously throughout the United States and Canada. We have a great partner in Australia who works with road trains, where you have one truck pulling up to 8 trailers behind it with 180 something tire positions, and Doran has technology to accommodate that. 46 countries around the world and growing.
wow.
Many of them we've traveled to and worked hand in hand with either the end customer or the distributor partner. But again, all of that starts with what we do here in Cincinnati.
What type of companies are they? Are they like tire companies? What is what is their primary business, or is Doran part of their primary business? I'm just curious on the setup.
So when we look at the global partnerships that Doran has on the distribution side, sorry, a little tongue tied.
Yeah.
There's a common theme of providing a high level of service in a variety of ways. It could be technology partner where they are selling, designing, customizing, and distributing. Might be a camera system. It
Oh,
might be
okay.
a safety and maintenance monitoring
Right.
technology. Could be lubrication and safety technology. It could be a tire dealer, a tire distributor in a given region. It could be a tire service provider who's working at mine sites in Peru, going in and servicing all of these 400-ton ultra class haul
Yeah.
trucks. Now Doran is part of the product offering that they're bringing to their fleet customers.
That's just amazing to have that type of sort of this multi-layered, like where you can slot in for partnerships. That's amazing. As a business, I mean, people dream of that type of setup. It's amazing.
Well, I'd like to say that there was a tremendous amount of thought and planning and a strategic process that was put together that got us to where we are right now. But there wasn't.
Yeah,
We are getting better about
that's a sign of a
a
good
more
product.
cohesive corporate strategy, but a lot of it's, look, we've got an opportunity. We have the right product. We have the right fit. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
Again, we have the right people here that from the supply chain team, from the engineering team, from the customer service and support, project management, and so forth. It'll from the sales side, it allows us to have the highest level of confidence that we know our products are going to work when they get to the end customer. We just have to get them there.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you have in a lot of ways because 46, what did you say, 46 countries?
46 as of
Wow.
today.
Wow, it's amazing. Before I let you go, I want to circle back to about like data distribution and that because I saw in the notes you sent me and sorry for the very layman stumbly way of asking this, but the telematics integration partners. I saw that in your notes. And I just wanted to get a better understanding about well, just what that is and how it's all sort of integrated together.
Sure. So, I mentioned earlier, Duran started with a standalone system for a truck application and how the systems evolved over time. Um, the the fleet customers in all segments that Duran serves are able to get more and more information off of their equipment than ever before to help operate more safely and more efficiently. So Duran can partner and does partner with various providers of that telemetry to get tire pressure and temperature data and alerts off the truck so that we're not just relying on the driver or the operator to take action. Now we're getting that information back to fleet headquarters. Could be a maintenance manager, could be a road assist or a breakdown team.
Mm,
Could be anyone in the company that would need to have that information. Duran has the ability to either partner with the fleet existing provider of that data stream, that telemetry, that type of information, or we have our own proprietary ways of doing that. Yard Check being one, Duran Connect being another. So if you look at the popular ELD providers or fleet management systems today, the Geotabs, the digital fleets, the Omnitracks, the Trimbles of the world, Duran has the ability, and some are actively integrated, some are in some stage of development.
mm.
But we are able to feed that data for tire pressure and temperature information through those providers so that fleet management now has visibility back at the home office of
Right.
what's happening with their assets on the
I
road.
see. Okay. No, I'm glad we touched on that to wrap up. But I'll leave with one more question. Actually, is you kind of touched on the getting sort of corporate focus, and I would say, I mean, it's a sign of a good business when companies from all different levels are sort of pulling you in, and it's not necessarily planned; it's customer demand. I mean, there's books written about that how to develop a business through company demand. So that's a pretty exciting thing to hear. But for you personally, in your business development role, what is the big challenge in your day to day? What sort of is the big thing that you're tackling? I'm not trying to get into Duran's secret sauce or anything like that, but just in your professional development as you're doing your part in the company, what's the challenge that you face day to day?
Sure. So the thing that excites me the most, but also keeps me up at night the most,
Mhm.
is there are so many opportunities all over the world.
Right.
And how do we capitalize on those? How do we extend our reach to get Doran solutions that we know are proven out to the world so that we can help customers operate more safely, more efficiently, save tires, save time, save money, on a global scale. And that's challenging, trying to stay focused and not chase a shiny object in one area or another area. And also to get Doran's name out there. We've been this kind of sleeping giant located in Cincinnati, which is not necessarily a trucking mecca of the world. It's certainly not a mining mecca of the world, but we have a great group of people that are bringing tremendously powerful solutions to the world in all of these different spaces. How do we get our name out there? How do we get Doran in front of people so that when they realize, or when they begin to realize, hey, you know what, there might be some technology that can help us lower our overall operating expenses, specifically in tires. Well, Doran is a provider that can help you there.
Yeah. Well, we've done multiple episodes of just the cost of tires in the industry. So yeah, you're in good company being on this show. Lee, thank you so much for coming on. This is one of three, so we're gonna. I hope we get to discuss more, like the different sectors, kind of zoom in on those sectors a little bit more, discuss more about those partnerships. There's a lot of layers, of course, we can't pack into an hour, but we covered a lot. So thank you for coming on.
Oh, you're welcome. Really appreciate you having me, and looking forward to the next round.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you everybody for watching. There's going to be links to everything that we've discussed in this show, including product lines, videos that Doran has. There's plenty of information, so just go into the YouTube description and you can just access it right there. Thank you for watching The Construction Show. We are going to see you on the next episode, and talk to you soon.